How's it going, everybody? My name is Bass, and the topic today is, do Chinese carburetors work? And the quick answer, yes. But you're gonna need to know what you're doing. So, a little bit about my background is I've been building dirt bikes since I was 8-10 years old. And when it came to the carburetors, you never really had to worry about them too much. You just clean them up, throw them back together, good to go. But when I started building, bikes that had been sitting for 15 years, 16 years, I'll show you what I mean by, running into problems with the carburetors. So let's go over here and look at one of these carburetors real quick. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. All right. So when trying to take the float off, this piece broke out. Also, you can see that this shut off, what do you call it? Not a shut off valve, but the shut off jet or whatever. It's literally rusted in there. I can't get it out. Anyways, so this is a piece of junk. I mean, you could spend your life on it trying to fix it, but with it being broke right there, I mean, it's not very easy to fix that. So your next best option, there's only two out there, really. Well, there's three, actually. You buy an OEM carb for like $400, if you can even find it. Or you buy one of these electron carbs for like $500, And the third option is a Chinese carburetor, right? So let's go look at my 91 here. This is a 1991 KX125. There's your Chinese carb. Now, just so I can show everybody that Chinese carbs work, let me show you. Okay, so there you go. Now, a regular bike like this, 125, is going to usually take a main jet of 160, right? And a pilot jet or an idle jet of about, 35 to 40, something like that. So here's the problem when it comes to these Chinese ones, right? The reason why a lot of people grab them, throw them on the bike, and nothing happens is because all the specs, okay, for a carb do not come set on a Chinese carb, okay? What I mean by that is your float bowl height. That's the first thing you need to check, all right? Secondly, the pilot jet, it's way off. So let's say you need usually like a 40, maybe a 45, whatever. You're gonna need a 55 on one of these, okay? So all the advice I could give to you is check your float bowl, make sure the height's correct, right? Main jet, if you're running a 125, I'd throw a 160 in there. Pilot jet, a 55 worked good for me. 60 might be good, and I know you guys are saying, whoa, that's pretty, that's a lot of fuel going in, but it works, right? Another thing is to make sure that your mixture screw is all the way in. All right. Now, if you get on the bike and it won't start with it all the way in, keep backing it out until the bike does start. Okay. Now, what I found is the leaner that the pilot jet is, the farther that mixture screw is going to have to be out, right? So, but for me, once I set the float bowl height, once I put that 160 in the main, and I went from everything from 38 all the way to 55. 55 was the best. It kept bogging at 38, 40, 45, 50. Put that 55 in there, it started working good. I might put a 60 in there. I'm not sure. Those are just the generic pilot jet numbers. If you're running like a Mikuni or something like that, or it's gonna be, you gotta do a conversion from like 410 or 370, whatever that's gonna be. But you get that going, and contrary to popular belief, once you get them dialed in, they are badass. They run great. Okay, I've had Lectron carbs. I had a 2005 RM250 that I just could not get dialed in with the Chinese carb or with the original carb. So I decided to go with the Lectron, and it ran good. But I could tell you this, trial and error, okay, years of experience, blood, sweat, and tears getting that thing right. A Chinese carb can run just as good, if not better, than Electron or a factory carb that's set up good or set up right. So another thing that I like to do a lot is I like to stockpile parts. So I have a bunch of float bowls, a bunch of needles, everything that I would need, seals, all that stuff. And when I need a carb, I just go in there, like, because I pick up these bikes, for 150 bucks, 200 bucks, and some of the times it's just the carburetor is so screwed up that the average dude couldn't get it to run. And then they go and they grab a Chinese one, they throw it on there, and they don't have the technical expertise to get that thing to run right, and so they automatically think it's something else, or they spend so much money on it and it still runs like crap. So if you're running a 125 and you have a Chinese carburetor, 36 millimeter, 38, whatever, as long as it fits in there, I would try a 160 main with a 55 or 60 pilot jet, and make sure your float bowl height is perfect. If that works, good to go. If it's idling kind of weird, maybe you'll mess with the clip position on the needle to get that idle perfect, but you should be good to go. And so I hope this helps somebody out there. But 30 bucks for a Chinese carburetor and a little bit of technical expertise can get you something that runs just as good as a $400 one. And I'm living proof of that. And trust me, it wasn't easy. Blood, sweat, and tears, like I said. But once you get it down, you can replicate that same thing, okay? And you can make that thing run good. So just word of advice, pilot jet, it's not going to be true. So, in a Mikuni or a Kian, you're going to be running a 35, 40, whatever, 45. Not these. You're going to be running 50, 55, 60 sometimes to get that thing running right. But the main jet, in my experience, like 15 carburetors, Chinese carburetors in, the main jet's usually pretty much dialed in. So make sure that your air screw is, 1.5 to 2 clicks out. And then as far as the fuel mixture screw, I start with it all the way in, and then I start backing my way out to get it perfectly. Preferably you want it closer in than out. And then just keep messing with the jets. But for a 125 two-stroke, 160, 55 or 60 for 160 main, and a 55 or 60 for the pilot jet will work good. And make sure you have your float bowl perfect. If the thing is bogging, when you give it fuel, it just bogs down. Make sure that float bowl is good, okay? You might need to bend it up. So there's a bunch of videos out there on YouTube that can help you fix that. But that little pin on that shutoff jet, when you hold the carburetor upside down, the float bowl should sit flush, but it shouldn't be closing off that little pin all the way. It should just be starting to push on it. And then if you push it just a little bit more with your hands, then it'll shut off. Or with your finger, you just push it barely a little bit, then it shuts off, you're good to go. So those are the important things. I'm always running 32 to 1. It just depends what you want to do. You might get better results, and you might have differences in in your performance and what jets work best for you, depending on what type of fuel mixture you're using. But 32-to-1, whatever fuel or whatever oil. And so yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Comment in the comment section below. I'll help you out if you have any questions. Thank you.